Today we're going to have a very honest, possibly uncomfortable for some, but incredibly important conversation. Picture this painfully familiar scene. Night. You're lying next to each other, so close you could count the eyelashes on his cheek. But there's a chasm between you. A huge, ringing, icy chasm of silence. And you, mustering all your willpower so your voice doesn't tremble, whisper into the darkness, "Honey, is something wrong?" And in response, like a stone sinking into water, falls that soulless, empty word, "Fine." And in that moment, a whole world explodes in your head. Not just a world, but a horror movie that you write and direct for yourself, starring your deepest fears. He's tired of me. He doesn't love me anymore. He probably has someone else, someone better, more interesting, younger. What did I do wrong this time? I've ruined everything. Because when a man is physically near but his thoughts are thousands of miles away, that's the end, right? The feelings are dead, but actually no. And today as a man, I'll take you behind the scenes of our silence. I'll show you what is hidden from a woman's eyes. When we are silent, it doesn't mean indifference. We are silent because there's a storm raging inside us. And since childhood, we've been taught one thing: a real man must stand tall even if the wind is knocking him down, and not make a sound. Why is this not coldness but a fire? Do you want to hear a story from my life? Not from a book, but a real one, my own. A few years ago, my best friend and business partner, a person I trusted like myself, just betrayed me. In one day, I lost both my friend and almost all my money. That evening, I came home. My beloved woman greeted me with a smile, telling me something about her day, and I just stared at one spot. I couldn't get a single word out. Of course, she started to worry. "What's wrong with you? Did I say something wrong? You're not listening to me?" But I stayed silent. Do you know why? Not because I didn't care about her, God forbid. At that moment, she was the only beacon in the midst of that storm. I stayed silent because if I had opened my mouth, what would have come out wouldn't have been a man's voice, but the howl of a wounded animal. A mix of rage, despair, and wild fear. How are we taught from the cradle? Boys don't cry. Be strong, take the hit. And this fear of seeming weak, pathetic, crushed in her eyes, it was stronger than the pain of betrayal. My prolonged silence was not intended as a divisive wall between us. Instead, it was a protective shield, carefully crafted for her well-being. I was trying to protect her from the wreckage of my collapsing world. Cave mode. Why does he run away in order to get closer? A man's psyche is not a multitasking Apple computer. It's more like a surgeon's laser scalpel. He can only focus on one, the most important problem at the moment. When he's overwhelmed at work, in debt, in conflict, or facing any other serious operation, all his resources go there. And then you come in with the best intentions, with love and a desire to help, peek into his operating room and ask, "Honey, we need to talk about our feelings." For you, this is a lifeline, but for his brain, which at that moment is trying to defuse a bomb, it sounds like a fire alarm. This is yet another fire that needs to be put out. A woman heals by talking about her pain. A man, on the other hand, when he talks about a problem he hasn't yet solved in his head, feels as if he's admitting his own helplessness. That's why he retreats into his cave. This could be the garage, a computer game, mindlessly scrolling through a news feed, or just staring at the wall with headphones on. From the outside, it looks like he's completely ignoring you. But in reality, this is his way of withdrawing from the world, so he can find a solution in silence and come back to you not with a problem, but with an answer. He runs away for a short while so that later he can truly be with you, not just on autopilot. Let me tell you a story about one of my clients. Let's call him Sergey. His wife was on the verge of divorce. He would come home from work and spend hours silently playing tank games. She would cry and yell that he had traded her for a game, that he had a mistress. But the truth was that his company was about to be declared bankrupt. And in his mind, he was running through hundreds of scenarios to save his family from poverty without scaring his wife before it was necessary. His silent tank games were his battlefield for her future peace of mind. How can you hear his "I love you" when he is silent? And sometimes we stay silent because any words seem vulgar and insignificant compared to what we feel. Saying "I love you" for the 100th time is like trying to explain the taste of chocolate to someone who has never tried it. It's pointless. And so we start to speak in our own masculine language, the language of actions. Remember when you complained that your feet were cold at night? He didn't give you a lecture about blood circulation, he just quietly brought home new wool socks the next day. When you said you were tired, he didn't try to comfort you with words. He simply took care of the kids and sent you to the bath, saying, "You have an hour of peace." When you cried after arguing with your mom, he didn't start giving advice. He just sat next to you, put his arm around your shoulders, and sat there in silence for half an hour, letting you feel that you weren't alone. These are his poems, his serenades, his declarations of love. We are afraid to cheapen deep feelings with loud words, so we ground them in actions. Learn to read them, and you'll hear more about his love than from the most beautiful Hollywood melodramas. What should you do if he goes silent? A simple 3-step plan. So the most important thing. He went silent. What should you do so you don't lose your mind and ruin everything? Step 1. Take your hands off the wheel. Your panic and anxiety are like pouring gasoline on his already burning house. Your first and main task is to stop trying to save him. Give him space. Say this magic phrase: "I see you're having a hard time right now. I love you and I'm here. When you're ready to talk, I'm here." And that's it. Be quiet yourself. Give him silence. By doing this, you're not showing indifference. By doing this, you're showing boundless trust. Without words, you're telling him, "I believe in you. I know you can handle this." Step 2. Turn the spotlight on yourself. While he's in his cave, don't sit at the entrance waiting for him to come out. That's a victim mentality. Immediately shift your focus to the main woman in your life, yourself. Go get a massage, go dancing, call a friend you haven't chatted with in ages. Start watching that series you've been putting off for so long. Show the universe, and him at the same time, that your world doesn't revolve around his mood, that you are whole, interesting, and self-sufficient. Men come out of their caves much faster when they hear cheerful music and laughter at the entrance, not crying. Step 3. Don't turn into an investigator. Absolutely forbidden. No interrogations with pressure. I demand that you explain everything to me. No ultimatums. Either you talk or I leave. No accusations. You never cared about me anyway. Every such word is another brick in the wall between you, which he will instinctively keep building higher to protect himself. Believe me, in 9 out of 10 cases, if you follow these 3 steps, he will come out of his cave on his own. He'll come hug you and say thank you, not for what you did, but for what you didn't do. For not breaking him, not finishing him off, not starting a war. It's a skill of emotional maturity. I understand that if you've been hurt for years, if you're used to silence always being a prelude to a breakup, it's very hard to change. So for those who feel stuck in this cycle of fear and resentment, who are tired of banging their head against a closed door and want to finally find the key to their man and, first and foremost, to themselves, I invite you to a consultation. Sometimes just one outside perspective, one right question can save you years, tears, and suffering. The link to sign up is below this video. And now I want to ask you for a favor. Share in the comments what you feel in those moments of deafening silence. And maybe you have your own phrase, your own thought that acts like a lifeline and helps you not to drown in the abyss of doubts and fears. Let's create our own shared treasury of wisdom here. And if this video was even a little bit helpful to you, if it sparked a small flame of understanding inside you, please give it a like. Maybe your like will help the YouTube algorithms show this video to a woman who is sitting in the dark right now, crying, convinced that she is no longer loved. Remember one thing, a man's silence is not an empty room, it's a safe. A safe where he hides his greatest fears, his sense of responsibility for you, and his love. A love so immense that he is afraid that by putting it into words, he will turn an ocean into a small puddle. Learn to hear not the words, but the silence between them. And then that silence will stop being a wall and will become the strongest bridge between your hearts. Thank you for being with me. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our next honest conversations.